So I better start just rambling off here. Welcome to the channel. My name's Everett Minshall. I'm a machine learning engineer. And the reason I can say that is because over the past 6 months, I've been learning the craft through a boot camp from the University of North Florida online, which was administered by Springboard. It's a little complicated, and I don't really understand the relationship there. But this video is about my experience going through that program now that I am done at the time of this recording in December of 2022. Um, you may, if you're a subscriber to the channel, you know that I've made a video on my first impressions when I first started. So I thought I'd follow up that video with a full review of my experience going through it. Maybe even some of the things I would have changed, or just like what I would offer someone if they were thinking about doing the program as well. So I guess the main question is, did I learn anything? And yes, I did learn quite a lot by going through the program. I went from someone who had zero experience with coding in Python. I didn't even really know what data science was. And now I'm at a point where I'm able to pull some data and actually build some machine learning models and even dabble in some deep learning with financial data and doing some time series and whatnot with LSTM models. So I definitely feel like my knowledge in the topic has increased dramatically. Now this field is rapidly changing and there's still so much more for me to know. But as far as getting a good foundation, I think this program really did a good job there. You may have remembered in the first video, if you haven't seen it, I'll leave a link in the description, but I mentioned that Springboard and the curriculum in general didn't have any like specific knowledge that they proprietary knowledge, right? Or proprietary training. A lot of it was just sending me to other spaces on the internet where you can get the training on the concepts that you need, followed by just some, Jupyter notebooks that you follow along as assignments. And that could be University of North Florida is doing or Springboard's doing. But um, yeah, I mean, as far as the curriculum and whether or not you'll learn something, that's definitely a plus. Like, I'm comfortable and confident in saying I can code in Python and meet almost any challenge that I might experience in a data science project on the job. The sun is going in and then it's going out and then it's going in and then it's going out, and it's driving me crazy because my face when the sun comes out is like white. Maybe that will not do anything. Still doesn't do much. Man, I just need like a little shader right here. I think there was we're going on a huge tangent here, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that Akira Kurosawa, when he was the great Japanese filmmaker, when he was trying to film a scene for Ron, I think, is supposedly he had this outdoor scene and they waited like, I don't know, 18 hours for the clouds and the sun to be just right to film the scene. We're not going to do that. We're just going to forge ahead. Excuse the blown out face. But, what can I do? I got to rearrange my setup here. Let's talk about probably the single greatest, what the biggest takeaway I had as far as like doing the course, and the one major piece of advice I'd give anyone who thought about doing Springboard or doing a boot camp like this, whether it was through UNF or some other university, is that your mentor is going to have the single greatest impact on your experience throughout the course. Now, for me, in my experience, I was assigned a mentor, and pretty much from the get-go, uh, for lack of a better word, our vibe just was not, our vibes weren't compatible. I mean, I started off the phone call by telling him like what my goals were and what my expectations were and what I hope to achieve. I wanted to finish the program by January. This was in June when I spoke to him for the first time. And he was just flat out like, no, you're not going to be able to do that. That's not realistic. You're not going to get that job by the end of this. You're only going to come out with this with one capstone, et cetera, et cetera. And I understand what he was getting at. He wanted to like set my expectations and tell me where my goals kind of were. But just me personally, I found it kind of, I found it quite fraught with friction. Um, I was just, if I was mentoring someone and they were telling me their goals and I wanted to set expectations, I wouldn't just be like, that's not going to happen. I would try to like, you know, be a little bit more emotionally intelligent about that conversation and say something like, I think those are really ambitious goals. I'm going to try to help you achieve them. But just so you know, I've been doing this for a while, and I'd say 90% of my students end up having this experience. But that I guess his personality just wasn't that way, and there were other issues where going throughout the course, if I asked him what was maybe like a dumb question about a concept I didn't understand or a technique I didn't quite have a full grasp of, there was on more than one occasion he'd say something like, you should know this by now. This is basic pandas, or this is basic NumPy. You should know this. Or it was sort of patronizing or patronizing, and I tried to make it work as much as I could because I didn't want to be that guy that was like, I don't know, I just didn't want to make a fuss, and so I stuck with him through like most of the course, and then it just finally got to this point where he was showing up like 5 to 10 minutes late to our meetings, and we just never got on like a good vibe together. And I'm not trying to blame him. I think he had his own style of teaching, which works for people. But for me, I was just looking for something a little bit more laid back, something that was a little bit more friendly, where we didn't only talk about the course. And then when I finally did ask for a new mentor and finally worked up the like, I don't know, like mental reasoning that said like, no, I should get a mentor that I vibe well with and that I can trust to speak about issues that I'm not sure of without feeling, you know, degraded after the conversation. And I'm super glad I did, because the last like quarter of the course I got a new mentor, and he and I just vibed like much better. The biggest thing I recognized was my second mentor, who I really enjoyed, asked me a lot of questions, which is something my first mentor did not do. My first mentor that I did not really vibe well with, he would just say things like, how's the course going? And then like that was it. That was the only question he'd ask. And whereas my second mentor, really tried to dive deeper into things that I needed. So what kind of jobs are you applying for? What are you hoping to get out of this course? You know, can I see your resume? Did you understand this concept? Most people have a hard time understanding this concept. And then if I brought up something I didn't understand, instead of being like, you should know this by now, it's in the coursework, he'd actually explain it and then follow up by saying like, is there anything that I said that you don't understand? Do you need me to explain it more? And he would even offer like resources outside of Springboard that I could go to to better understand any conversation piece that we might have for that week. So definitely, 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 if you're gonna do Springboard, make sure that you vibe well with your mentor. And it's nothing against, mentors have different styles, and you have different learning styles. You're paying for this course. It's worth spending the time to get set up with someone that you can trust and that you can have a good conversation with, because it makes a whole difference with the experience. So this is my actual certificate. I am indeed done. This is what it'll look like when you complete the course. So pretty awesome. I'm really glad I did the course, and I'm pretty happy about it. The next step would be to find a job. And I'm not going to dive too deep into that right now. I think I might actually make a separate video about what my experience is like finding a job after the boot camp. But yeah, I mean, right now I finished WGU and I got a bachelor's degree. And then now I've got this boot camp certificate for continuing education under my belt. So hopefully, this just really strengthens my resume, and I'm really excited about the skills that I've learned because it's a really exciting field. And yeah, I definitely recommend it to whomever wants to try Springboard. I don't know anything about the other offerings that they have, like with, user design, and I think they even do like technology sales or something. Another thing I would mention about the course is that I spent a lot of time, mainly because of this channel, which I'm really glad I did, but I spent a lot of time trying things on my own outside of the course. So if I learned a piece of code, or if I learned a concept, or if I learned about a model, I would go do my own project that had nothing to do with the course. It was mostly for the YouTube channel. So if you've seen my other videos on the LSTM videos, or the mushroom prediction videos, or the concrete prediction video, those were all things that I did outside the course just for fun, just to practice. And I think I think you're probably going to have to do something like that. I'm not saying that Springboard doesn't offer enough practice. Like, I have tons of things that I could potentially put on the YouTube channel from the course, but and actually I should, just because I think that give me more things to talk about. But basically, what I'm saying is you're going to also need to boost your proficiency by going out on your own and studying on your own, because this is really just providing the foundations. And it's definitely one of those things where if you don't keep up with it, you're gonna lose certain information if you don't keep practicing it throughout your time in Springboard and afterwards. So it's definitely worth building up a habit of doing that. Um, and I think your experience is really going to also depend on your background coming in. Like, I had no coding experience, I had no master's degree, I had very, very basic math knowledge. I was still able to do everything, just because I think I'm a good learner. But if you do have a background in, say, like some kind of STEM field, or if you do have some coding knowledge, I think your experience in Springboard might be less impactful than if you had like no expectations going into it. But at the same time, you might actually get more out of it, because it might fill in the gaps that you would need to get a data science job. Or, if you just need to know, like, if you kind of know statistics and know probability, but you don't know coding, this might actually be really great for you, because, you can understand all the concepts really well, and then you learn the coding, and then it's like, you'd be a perfect candidate for a job. Whereas someone like me who didn't have those experience, I think it's going to be a tougher challenge to learn things, because you're learning the concepts and you're learning how to code. So like I said, you might need to, like for me, I had to boost my learning by doing more, if that makes sense. So I don't really know what else to say. If I think of other things, I'll put it in the video, but this is going to be pretty short. I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm done, and I'm going to start looking for a job now. And if you're an employer out there who needs someone to do data science, hit me up. I'd be more than happy to see if I can help. In the meantime, thanks for watching this video, and be sure to leave a comment if you have questions. I'd be happy to answer them. Yeah, have a good week. Peace.